The courtroom was cold and silent. Taiho stood alone in the center, his hands locked behind his back. Around him sat the judges of the Galactic Coalition Academy. They were not human. Most of them had never even spoken to a human before. Taiho was 22 years old. He came from a small town in Korea, on a planet called Earth. Humans had only joined the coalition 12 years ago. To the older species, humans were still newcomers. They were still primitives who had barely learned to travel between stars. Admiral Boric sat at the highest chair. He was a Kelvian, a species that looked like giant insects. His shell was dark green, and his eyes showed no kindness. He had hated humans from the first day they arrived at the academy. He believed they did not belong among the stars. "Cadet Taiho," Boric said. His voice was like rocks grinding together. "You have been found guilty of sabotage during joint training, Exercise 7. Your actions endangered 43 cadets from 12 species. Do you have anything to say?" Taiho looked up at him. His face was calm. "I did not sabotage anything, Admiral. I refused to follow an order that would have killed Cadet Plix. The power unit was going to explode. I pulled him out instead of completing the mission." "You disobeyed a direct order," Boric said. "The order was wrong." Taiho replied simply. A sound of shock went through the room. No cadet had ever spoken to Admiral Boric like this. The other judges looked at each other with wide eyes. Some of them seemed impressed. Most of them seemed afraid. Boric leaned forward. His mandibles clicked with anger. "Cadet Plix is from a lesser species. His life was not worth more than the mission." "Every life is worth saving," Taiho said. "That is what I believe." The room went silent again. Boric stared at the young human for a long moment. Then, slowly, he smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Very well," the Admiral said. "Since you care so much about worthless lives, let us see how much your own life is worth. I invoke Protocol 77X. The other judges gasped. Even some of the Kelvians looked shocked. Protocol 77X was an old law, almost never used. It was a death sentence dressed up as a test. "You will be sent to a reclamation world," Boric continued. "A planet too dangerous for colonization. You will survive there, or you will die there. This is your punishment for disobedience." An old judge from the Methri species raised his hand. "Admiral, this is extreme. The boy saved a life. Perhaps a lesser punishment would—" "The decision is made," Boric cut him off. "The human will be sent to Keth-4." Now even Boric's allies looked uncomfortable. Keth-4 was known across the galaxy by another name, the Grinder. It was a planet that killed everything. The average survival time for an alien on its surface was 6 hours. No cadet sent there had ever lived past 3 days. Taiho's expression did not change. He had learned long ago not to show fear. Fear was a weakness that others would use against you. The guards came and took him away. As he walked out, he passed by a row of instructors. Most of them looked away, but one did not. She was human, a woman named Yuna. She was one of only 3 human instructors at the academy. As Taiho passed her, she whispered something. It was so quiet that only he could hear. "They forgot what Earth made us. Remind them." Taiho did not look at her. He did not nod, but he heard her words, and he held them in his heart. The next morning, they put him on a one-way pod. It was small and old, built for cargo, not passengers. They gave him a standard survival kit, a knife, water tablets, a fire starter, and a thin blanket. They also gave him a broken emergency beacon that could not send signals and a personal tablet with its communications locked. "The tablet can record," a guard told him with a cruel laugh. "So you can document your death for us." Taiho took the tablet and said nothing. The pod launched. Through the small window, he watched the academy station grow smaller and smaller. He watched the stars stretch and blur as the pod jumped through space. He thought about his home on Earth. He thought about his grandmother, who had raised him after his parents died. She had always said that Koreans were survivors. They had survived wars. They had survived invasions. They had survived everything history had thrown at them. "I will survive this too," Taiho said quietly to himself. The pod shook as it entered Keth 4's atmosphere. Warning lights flashed. The heat shield cracked. Through the window, Taiho saw a world of red and black. Volcanoes rose like teeth from the ground. Rivers of lava cut through dark forests. Storms of lightning tore across the sky, thought it was a planet made of death. The pod crashed hard into a marsh. The impact threw Taiho against the wall. He tasted blood in his mouth. For a moment, everything went dark. When he opened his eyes, he heard something outside. Something was scratching at the pod's metal shell. Then came the howls. Not one howl, but many. A pack of creatures had found him. Taiho grabbed his knife and kicked open the pod door. 6 creatures stood in the marsh. They had 6 legs each, covered in black scales. Their mouths were full of teeth like broken glass. Their eyes glowed red in the dim light. Reavers, the database had called them. Pack hunters. They could tear through metal dawn. The Reavers moved closer. They expected him to run. Every other cadet had run. Running triggered their hunting instinct. Running meant death. Taiho did not run. Instead, he stood up straight. He made himself look as big as possible. He raised his knife and screamed at them. It was a raw, savage sound. It was the sound of a human who refused to be prey. The Reavers stopped. They looked confused. This small creature was not acting like food. It was acting like a threat. The Alpha Reaver growled and stepped forward. It was testing him. Taiho did not back down. He stared into the creature's red eyes and growled back. For a long moment, they stood there. Predator and human. Death and defiance. Then the Alpha attacked. Taiho moved faster than any alien expected a human to move. Humans were supposed to be slow. Humans were supposed to be weak. But Taiho had trained in the Korean military before the academy. He had learned to fight. He had learned to survive. He sidestepped the attack and drove his knife into the Alpha's throat. The creature screamed and fell. Blood, dark as oil, poured onto the ground. The other Reavers watched their leader die. Then slowly they backed away. Without the Alpha, they had no courage. They disappeared into the marsh, howling in fear. Taiho stood alone in the darkness. His hands were covered in blood. His heart was pounding. But he was alive. He looked up at the burning sky and smiled. "Day 1," he said to himself. "Let us see what else you have, Grinder." The planet did not answer. But somewhere in the distance, something much larger than a Reaver had heard the fight. Something ancient and curious. Something that would change Taiho's life forever. His survival had just begun. The first 3 days on Cat 4 were the hardest days of Taiho's life. The gravity was heavy. Every step felt like walking through water. His muscles ached constantly. His lungs burned from the toxic air that leaked through his cheap filter mask. The temperature changed without warning. 1 hour it was hot enough to cook meat on the rocks. The next hour it was cold enough to freeze water. But Taiho did not complain. He did not sit down and wait for death. He worked. On the first day, he found a cave near a volcanic vent. The vent released hot air that kept the cave warm at night. He blocked the entrance with rocks to keep predators out. It was not comfortable, but it was safe. On the second day, he explored the area around his cave. He found a stream of water that looked clear. He tested it carefully, putting a tiny drop on his skin first. When nothing bad happened, he filtered it through a cloth and boiled it over a fire. The water tasted like metal, but it did not make him sick. On the third day, he found food. There were mushrooms growing near the volcanic vents. They were ugly and purple, but when he cooked them, they tasted almost like the mushrooms from home. He also found fish in the stream. They had too many eyes, and their scales were sharp, but the meat inside was good. Survival is simple, Taiho said to himself as he ate his first real meal on the planet. Find water, find food, find shelter, stay alive. Everything else is just details. He started keeping a record on his tablet. Not a distress call, because no one was coming to save him. Just a simple log of his days. Day 3 on Keth 4, he said to the camera. Found a good fishing spot. The fish here are ugly, but they taste like mackerel if you cook them enough. The mushrooms are safe too. Weather is not great. Had 2 acid rainstorms today, but I am still here. Taiho out. He did not know that the tablet was sometimes sending these recordings into space. He did not know that anyone would ever see them. He just talked because it made him feel less alone. On the 4th day, everything changed. Taiho was walking through a dark forest when he heard a sound. It was a cry of pain. Not a human cry, but something else. Something young and scared. He followed the sound carefully. He expected a trap. On this planet, everything could be a trap. What he found was a pit. Someone, or something, had dug it long ago. At the bottom was a creature. It was about the size of a large dog, with black fur that seemed to eat the light. It had 6 legs like the Reavers, but its body was different. Sleeker, more dangerous. Its eyes were silver, like 2 moons. Taiho recognized it from the survival database. A void stalker. The most dangerous predator on Keth 4. Adults could kill a squad of armed soldiers. They were faster than anything, stronger than anything, and smarter than most aliens. This one was young. A baby, maybe. Its front leg was caught in a wire trap. The wire had cut deep into its flesh. Dark blood dripped down into the pit. The smart thing to do was walk away. This creature would grow up to be a monster. It would probably try to kill him someday. Every survival guide said the same thing. Never help a void stalker. Taiho looked at the creature. It looked back at him with those silver eyes. It was scared. It was in pain. It was alone, just like him. I am probably going to regret this, Taiho said. He climbed down into the pit. The young void stalker growled at him. Its teeth were already sharp, enough to cut bone. But it was weak from blood loss and could not fight. Taiho moved slowly. He spoke softly. Easy now. I am not going to hurt you. I am going to help. Do not bite me, okay? I need my hands. He reached for the wire trap. The creature snapped at him, but it was too tired to be fast. Taiho grabbed the wire and pulled it apart with his knife. The creature screamed as the wire came out of its flesh. Then Taiho did something even more foolish. He took off his shirt and wrapped it around the creature's wound. He cleaned the cut with water. He applied medicine from his survival kit. The void stalker watched him the whole time. It did not understand why this strange 2-legged thing was helping it. Nothing on Keth 4 helped anything else. That was not how this world worked. When Taiho finished, he sat back and looked at the creature. There, you will live. Now go find your mother or something. He climbed out of the pit and started walking back to his cave. He heard something behind him. When he turned, the void stalker was following him. It limped on its injured leg, but it kept coming. No, Taiho said firmly. Go away. I am not your friend. The creature sat down and looked at him. Taiho walked faster. The creature followed. He tried running. The creature ran too, even with its bad leg. Finally, Taiho stopped and sighed. Fine, you can follow me. But I am not feeding you. And if you try to eat me in my sleep, I will be very angry. The Void Stalker made a sound. It was almost like a purr. Taiho shook his head. I need to give you a name. I cannot just call you creature. He thought for a moment. Bomi. That was my grandmother's cat's name. It means spring. You look nothing like a cat, but you are about as stubborn. Bomi purred again. That night, Taiho slept in his cave with a baby apex predator curled up next to him. It was strange. It was dangerous. It was probably the stupidest thing he had ever done. But for the first time since he landed on this planet, he did not feel alone. The days passed. Bomi's leg healed quickly. The creature grew even faster. Every week, she was bigger than before. Every week, she was stronger than before. She learned to hunt by watching Taiho fish. Soon she was catching fish by herself. She brought them back to the cave and dropped them at Taiho's feet like gifts. Good girl, Taiho would say, scratching behind her ears. You are a natural. He recorded these moments on his tablet, not because he thought anyone was watching, just because it made him happy. Day 20 on Keth 4, he said in one video. Bomi caught her first big fish today. Look at this thing. It is huge. She is so proud of herself. I am proud of her too. He turned the camera to show Bomi. She looked at the lens with her silver eyes and made a happy chirping sound. Say hi to nobody, Bomi, because nobody is watching this. He was wrong about that. But he would not learn the truth for many more weeks. By the end of the first month, Taiho had built a real home. His cave had a bed made of dried plants. He had a smoking rack for preserving fish. He had clay pots for storing water. He had tools made from bones and stones. And he had Bomi. She was the size of a small horse now. Her fur was darker than the night sky. Her teeth could bite through steel. She was terrifying, and she loved Taiho more than anything in the world. Day 30 on Keth 4, Taiho recorded. Built a smoker today. Alien jerky is not bad. Bomi tried some and made a face. I think she prefers fresh meat. Weather is getting colder. Might need to find more blankets. But we are doing okay. We are doing just fine. He smiled at the camera. Behind him, Bomi yawned, showing rows of deadly teeth. This is Taiho and Bomi, signing off from the grinder. See you tomorrow. He turned off the tablet and went to bed, far away in the cold darkness of space. His signal bounced off a satellite and began its long journey to the stars. Someone was about to start watching. 3 months had passed since. Taiho was sent to Keth 4. At the Galactic Coalition Academy, everyone had forgotten about him. His name was added to the list of cadets who died during training. His room was given to someone else. His files were closed. Everyone thought he was dead. Instructor Yuna did not believe it. She had watched Taiho train for 2 years. She had seen how hard he worked. She had seen how smart he was. She refused to believe that the grinder had killed him. One night, she was working late in the communication center. She was supposed to be checking standard signals, but instead she was searching for something else. She was searching for any signal from KETH-4. Most of the planet's surface was blocked by electromagnetic storms. Signals could not get in or out. But Yuna had noticed something in the old records. Sometimes, for a few minutes at a time, the storms would clear. A small window would open. If someone was broadcasting during those windows, their signal might escape. She searched for hours. She found nothing. She was about to give up when her computer made a sound. A new file had arrived. It was small and compressed, badly damaged by interference. But it was real. Yuna opened the file. Taiho's face appeared on her screen. He was thinner than before. His hair was longer. There was a scar on his cheek. But he was smiling. Day 45 on Keth 4, he said. Made fish stew today. The secret is to add some of those purple mushrooms. They make everything taste better. Bomi does not like vegetables, but she ate some anyway because I told her to. She's getting so big now, almost up to my shoulder. The camera moved to show a creature that made Yuna's blood run cold. A void stalker, larger than any she had seen in pictures, was sitting next to Taiho like a pet dog. It looked at the camera and made a chirping sound. "Say hi, Bomi," Taiho said. The monster Purre did it. Yun watched the video 3 more times. Then she started laughing. Then she started crying. Then she sent the file to every human she trusted. The videos spread fast. Do-hyun was Taiho's old roommate. He was a big man with a loud voice and a quick temper. When he saw the first video, he shouted so loud that half the station heard him. "He is alive!" Do-hyun yelled, running through the hallways. "Taiho is alive. And he has a pet monster." At first, no one believed him. Then he showed them the video. Then they believed. Minji was a communication specialist. She was small and quiet, but she was the smartest person in her class when it came to technology. When she saw the videos, she immediately started working on a way to get more of them. "The signals are coming through during storm gaps," she explained to Yuna and Do-hyun. "If I can predict when the gaps will happen, I can set up receivers to catch everything he sends." She worked for 3 days without sleeping. Finally, she succeeded. The videos poured in. Dozens of them. Weeks of Taiho's life on the grinder. The humans watched them all. Then they shared them with others. Then those others shared them with more others. Within 2 weeks, Taiho's videos had spread across the entire station. Aliens watched in shock. They saw a human fishing in a river that would melt their skin. They saw a human cooking over volcanic vents that would burn them to ash. They saw a human playing with a void stalker like it was a puppy. "This is impossible," a Kelvian professor said. "Humans cannot survive on Keth-4. Their bodies are too weak." But the videos did not lie. Some videos became famous across the galaxy. In one, Taiho taught Bomi how to hunt. "Watch me," he told her, holding a spear over the water. "You have to be patient. Wait for the fish to come close. Then, he struck and pulled out a large fish. See? Easy." Bomi jumped into the water and came back with 3 fish in her mouth. "Show off," Taiho said. But he was smiling. In another video, Taiho found hot springs. "Best day ever," he said, sitting in steaming water. "First bath in 6 weeks. I smell like a human again instead of a swamp creature." Bomi was lying nearby, watching him with her silver eyes. "No, Bomi, you cannot come in. Last time you tried to swim, you scared all the fish away." In another video, Taiho built a better shelter. Bomi needed more room, he explained, showing the camera a larger cave. She kept hitting her head on the ceiling. "Now we both fit. It is almost like home." He paused and looked around. "Actually, I think it is home now." Weird, right? The coalition was divided. Some officials said the videos were fake. They said humans had made them to embarrass the Academy. They demanded that the broadcast be stopped. Admiral Barracks was the loudest voice. "These videos are propaganda," he announced in a council meeting. "The human died weeks ago. His friends are creating these lies to undermine my authority." But the videos kept coming, and they were too real to be fake. Other officials were amazed. Elder Varan, an ancient Methri who had lived for 800 years, watched every video twice. "This human," he said slowly, "is teaching us something. We sent him to die, and he made a life instead. Perhaps we have been wrong about many things." The phrase human standard became popular among younger aliens. It meant doing something that everyone said was impossible. It meant refusing to give up. It meant surviving when you were supposed to die. Humans across the galaxy used Taiho's videos as a symbol. They played them at gatherings. They quoted his words. They named their children after him. A nobody cadet from Earth had become the most famous human in the coalition. Minji finally managed to establish a one-way audio link. They could send Taiho a message, but only for a few seconds. "Taiho?" Yuna said into the microphone. "This is Yuna. We are watching your videos. Everyone is watching. You are famous now. The whole galaxy knows your name. Stay alive. We are trying to bring you home." They did not know if he received the message. 3 days later, a new video arrived. Taiho was sitting by his fire, Bomi sleeping behind him. He looked confused but happy. "So, I got a message today," he said. "Apparently people are watching my videos? I thought I was just talking to myself this whole time." He scratched his head. "That is weird. I said some embarrassing things in earlier videos. I hope nobody heard me singing in the shower." He looked at the camera and smiled. "Well, if anyone is watching, hi. Welcome to my channel, I guess. Today we are making fish stew." Bomi caught a big one. "Look at this." He held up a fish the size of his arm. "This absolute unit. Beautiful." Behind him, Bomi woke up and made a happy sound. Bomi says hi too. He waved at the camera. "Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe out there." Taiho out. The video ended. Millions of viewers across the galaxy watched a human and his monster wave goodbye. Admiral Borix sat alone in his office, watching the same video. His mandibles clicked with anger. The human was supposed to be dead. The human was supposed to be an example. Instead, the human was becoming a hero. He could not allow this to continue. He pressed a button on his desk. A secret channel opened. "Prepare a strike team," he said quietly. "I want the human eliminated. Make it look like an accident. Make it look like the planet killed him." On Keth 4, Taiho and Bomi slept peacefully by their fire. They did not know that death was coming for them, but death had tried to take Taiho before. And death had failed. It would fail again. 6 months had passed since Taiho landed on Keth 4. He was no longer the scared cadet who had fought Reavers on his first night. He was something else now. He was a survivor. He was a hunter. He was the human who had tamed the grinder. Back at the academy, his survival had become an interstellar crisis. The council chamber was full of shouting voices. Representatives from 47 species argued with each other. Some wanted to rescue Taiho. Others wanted to leave him there. Everyone had an opinion. Admiral Borix stood at the center, his green shell shining under the lights. "The human must remain on Keth 4, he declared. Protocol 77X was applied legally. Removing him would undermine the entire disciplinary system. Every cadet would think they can disobey orders and escape punishment. He saved a life. Dahyun shouted from the visitor section. He was not supposed to speak, but he did not care. He refused to let someone die. That is not a crime. That is heroism. Guards moved toward him, but Yuna stepped forward first. She had been given permission to testify before the council. "I have evidence," she said calmly, "that the sabotage charges against Cadet Taiho were fabricated." The room went quiet. Borix's mandibles clicked nervously. Yuna held up a data tablet. The training exercise was designed to fail. The power unit was programmed to explode. Taiho did not cause the accident. He saw it coming and saved his teammate. The real sabotage was committed by someone who wanted Taiho to look guilty. Who? Elder Varan asked. His ancient voice cut through the silence. Yuna looked directly at Admiral Borix. Someone who hated humans enough to destroy a young man's life. Borix slammed his claw on the table. "This is ridiculous. You have no proof." "I have the original program code," Yuna replied. "I have communication records. I have testimony from the engineer, who was ordered to alter the power unit. She paused. "Would you like me to share the name of the officer who gave that order?" The room erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted questions. Guards looked confused. Boric stood frozen, his compound eyes wide with shock. Elder Voron raised his hand. The room slowly fell quiet. The old Methri had a way of commanding respect without saying a word. "I have watched every video from Keth 4, Voron said slowly. "I have watched this young human face death every day. I have watched him build a home in a place designed to kill him. I have watched him show kindness to a creature that should have been his enemy." He turned to look at the other delegates. "We call ourselves the Coalition. We say we value cooperation and wisdom. But we sent a child to die because he refused to let someone else die. What does that say about us?" Nobody answered. "I move for an immediate rescue mission," Voron continued. "I move for a full pardon of all charges against Cadet Taiho. And I move for a formal investigation into Protocol 77X and everyone involved in this case." The voting began. Do-yoon and Minji watched from the visitor section. Their hands were shaking. This was the moment that would decide their friend's future. One by one, the delegates cast their votes. Some voted yes without hesitation. Some voted no just as quickly. Some took long moments to think. When the last vote was cast, the screen displayed the result. 29 in favor, 18 against. Taiho would be rescued. Do-hyun jumped out of his seat and cheered. Minji cried with relief. Yuna closed her eyes and allowed herself a small smile. But Admiral Borics was already walking out of the chamber. His face showed nothing. His mind was racing. He would not allow this to happen. The human had to die before the rescue ship arrived. Otherwise, everything would be exposed. His corruption, his hatred, his crimes. He went to his private office and opened a secure channel. On the screen appeared the face of a Kelvian soldier. He was part of a special unit that did not officially exist. A unit that solved problems quietly. "The Council has authorized a rescue mission," Boric said. "The ship will reach Keth 4 in 8 hours. I need the human dead before then." "Understood," the soldier replied. "What about the creature?" "Kill it too. Leave no evidence. Make it look like the planet finally finished the job." The soldier nodded, and the screen went dark. 3 hours later, a small, fast ship launched from a hidden hangar. It carried 6 Kelvian soldiers, the best killers in Barks's secret army. They had weapons that could burn through stone. They had armor that could stop any claw. They had hunted criminals across a dozen worlds. They had never hunted a human before. On Keth 4, Taiho did not know any of this. He was sitting by his fire, recording another video. "Day 184, he said to the camera. "Built a bigger shelter. Bomi needed more room. She's basically a horse now. Can you believe that? 6 months ago, she fit in my arms. Now I could ride her if she let me." Behind him, Bomi was stretched out by the fire. She was enormous. Her black fur rippled with muscle. Her silver eyes reflected the flames. She was no longer a baby predator. She was an adult void stalker, the deadliest creature on Keth 4, and she still loved Taiho more than anything. Taught her to fetch fish from the deep pools. Taiho continued. "She is really good at it. We are a great team. I never thought I would say this, but I might actually like it here. It is quiet. It is simple. No politics. No lies. Just me and Bomi and the planet." He looked at the camera and smiled. "Anyway, that is the update. If anyone is still watching, thanks for keeping me company. I know I am just talking to a screen, but it helps. Makes me feel less." Bomi suddenly raised her head. A low growl came from her throat. Taiho stopped talking. He knew that sound. It was not her playful growl. It was not her hungry growl. It was her danger growl. Something was wrong. Bomi? What is it? The Void Stalker stood up. Her fur stood on end. Her silver eyes were locked on the sky. Something was coming. Something that did not belong here. Teho turned off the camera and grabbed his spear. He had learned to trust Bomi's instincts. If she sensed danger, danger was real. Come on, he whispered. Let us go see what is happening. They moved quietly through the dark forest. Bomi led the way, her black fur blending perfectly with the shadows. Taiho followed close behind. They reached a ridge overlooking a clearing. Below them, a ship was landing. It was small and fast, with weapons mounted on its sides. Not a rescue ship. Something else. 6 figures climbed out. They were Kelvians, wearing black armor and carrying long rifles. They moved like soldiers. They looked like killers. Taiho watched them from the shadows. He understood immediately what was happening. Someone did not want him to be rescued. Someone had sent these soldiers to make sure he never left this planet alive. He looked at Bomi. She looked back at him. Her eyes burned with cold fury. She knew they were threats. She wanted to attack. Not yet, Taiho whispered. There are 6 of them. They have guns. We need to be smart. Bomi growled softly but stayed still. She trusted him. She would wait. Taiho looked at the forest around them. He had spent 6 months learning every rock, every tree, every danger. These soldiers had just arrived. They did not know what they were walking into. He smiled in the darkness. Welcome to my home, he whispered. Let me show you around. The hunt was about to begin. But the soldiers were not the hunters. They were the prey. The Kelvian soldiers moved through the forest in perfect formation. They had been trained for years. They had killed targets on worlds far more dangerous than this one. They were not afraid of the grinder. They should have been. The squad leader was named Vex. He held up his claw and the team stopped. His scanner showed a shelter ahead. Heat signatures inside. The human was there. Surround the cave, Vex ordered. Kill the creature first. Then eliminate the human. Make it quick. The soldiers spread out. They moved silently through the trees. Their rifles were charged and ready. When they reached the cave, they found it empty. Vex looked around. The fire was still warm. The blankets were still there. Someone had been here minutes ago. But where had they gone? Spread out, he said. Find them. That was his first mistake. The forest on Kethfor was not like forests on other worlds. It was alive with dangers that the soldiers did not understand. The trees had roots that could grab your legs. The ground had holes that dropped into lava pits. The animals were always watching, always hungry. And Taiho knew every single trap. The first soldier fell into a reaver territory. He did not even have time to scream. One moment he was walking. The next he was surrounded by 6-legged predators. His armor was strong, but reavers knew how to find the weak spots. They had millions of years of practice. The second soldier triggered a gas vent. Volcanic poison poured out of the ground. His armor protected him from the heat, but not from the gas. He dropped his rifle and started choking. When he fell, Bomi was waiting. The third and fourth soldiers stayed together. They thought they were safer in pairs. They were wrong. Taiho had spent days weakening a cliff near the hot springs. When the soldiers walked underneath, he pushed a single rock. The cliff collapsed. The soldiers were buried under a ton of stone. Now only 2 remained. Vex and his last soldier stood back to back in a clearing. Their eyes searched the darkness. Their rifles pointed at every shadow. This is impossible, the other soldier said. His voice was shaking. One human did this? One human? Shut up, Vex snapped. He got lucky. We just need to A shape exploded from the shadows. Bomi hit the soldier like a missile. Her jaws closed around his rifle and snapped it in half. Her claws sliced through his armor like paper. He was dead before he hit the ground. Vex spun and fired at her. The blast hit Bomi's side. She roared in pain and stumbled back. "Got you," Vex shouted. Then something hit him from behind. A rock, small but fast. It cracked his helmet and made him stumble. He turned and saw Taiho standing in the clearing. The human was thin and scarred. His clothes were torn. His hair was wild. He held nothing but a bone knife and a few rocks. He looked like a savage. He looked like prey. "You killed my soldiers," Vex said. "You destroyed my team. For what? You are going to die anyway. You are just a human." Taiho tilted his head. "Just a human," he repeated. "You know, people keep saying that. They said it when my country was invaded. They said it when my planet was colonized. They said it when I was sent here to die." He smiled. "They were always wrong." Vex raised his rifle. "Any last words?" Taiho looked at him calmly. "Just one word, Bomi." The Void Stalker hit Vex from the side. Her wound had slowed her but not stopped her. She was hurt and she was angry and she was protecting her family. Vex's armor meant nothing. His training meant nothing. His pride meant nothing. Bomi tore through all of it. When it was over, Taiho walked to her side and checked her wound. The burn was bad but not fatal. He pressed his hand against it gently. "You saved me again," he said softly. "I told you to stay hidden. I told you not to fight." Bomi made a weak sound and licked his face. "I know. I would have done the same for you." He started treating her wound with supplies from the soldiers' medical kits. "We make a good team, huh?" By dawn, 4 soldiers were dead and 2 were alive but badly hurt. Taiho tied them up and treated their injuries. He did not kill them. He did not torture them. He just made sure they could not hurt anyone else. "Why?" one of them asked. "We came to murder you. Why are you helping us?" Taiho looked at him. "Because I am a human. We do not become monsters just because others are monsters to us. That is what makes us different." The soldier had no answer for that. The rescue shuttle arrived at dawn. It flew low over the forest, scanning for signs of life. Yuna was on board, along with Do-Yoon and Minji. They had volunteered for the mission. They had refused to stay behind. "There!" Minji shouted, pointing at a clearing. The shuttle landed. The doors opened. Yuna stepped out first, her hand on her weapon. She stopped. Taiho was sitting calmly by a fire. He was cooking breakfast. Beside him lay a massive Void Stalker, wounded but alive. Around them were 4 tied-up Kelvian soldiers in black armor. Taiho looked up and smiled. "Hey, Yuna," he said. "You are just in time for breakfast. Fair warning, Bomi does not like strangers. Move slow." Yuna stared at him for a long moment. Then she started laughing. Then she started crying. Do-Yoon ran forward and grabbed Taiho in a huge hug. "You crazy fool," he shouted. "You actually did it. You survived." Minji was already taking pictures. "No one is going to believe this," she said. "No one." Taiho stood up slowly. He was thinner than before. He was covered in scars. But he was alive. He was whole. "Let us go home," he said quietly. They flew back to the academy. The news spread faster than light. The human who survived the grinder. The human who tamed the Void Stalker. The human who defeated a Kelvian death squad with rocks and traps. Admiral Borix was arrested before Taiho's shuttle even landed. The surviving soldiers confessed everything. They named Borix as the one who sent them. They described his orders. They begged for mercy. Borix was taken to prison. He would spend the rest of his life there. His career was over. His reputation was destroyed. His hatred had consumed him, and in the end, that hatred had destroyed only himself. Protocol 77X was abolished. No more cadets would ever be sent to die on Hellworlds. The law was renamed the Taiho Amendment. The Coalition offered Taiho everything: medals, promotions, political positions, fame, fortune. He refused it all. I only want one thing, he told the council. I want permission to go back to Cath 4, not to stay forever, just to visit. Bomi cannot survive off-world. Her body is made for that planet. But I cannot leave her alone either. She is my family. The council agreed. They gave him the title of Warden of Cath 4. He would be the first human to have authority over an alien world. 1 year later, Taiho posted his final public video. He was back on Cath 4, sitting by the sulfur falls. The sky was red and gold. The air was clean today, or at least as clean as it ever got on the grinder. Bomi lay beside him, and beside Bomi were 3 small shapes. Her babies. 3 little void stalkers with silver eyes. Hey everyone, Taiho said. Taiho here. I'm back on the grinder for my monthly visit. Bomi had babies. 3 of them. She brought them to meet me today. I think she wanted me to see. He smiled as one of the babies climbed onto his lap. They are cute, in a could kill you instantly kind of way. He was quiet for a moment, watching the sunset. Someone asked me once why I do not hate this planet. After everything that happened here, after everything I lost. He shook his head. I told him the truth. Earth made us survivors. We do not hate hard places. We learn to live in them. We learn to love them. We make them home. Bomi made a soft sound. Taiho scratched behind her ears. Anyway, Bomi is giving me that look. The one that means it is fishing time. He stood up and stretched. Stay safe out there, everyone. Keep surviving. Keep fighting. And remember, no matter what they throw at you, you can handle it. You are human. He smiled at the camera one last time. Taiho out. The video ended with a shot of Taiho and Bomi walking toward the water together. A human and his monster. A survivor and his family behind them. The sun set over the grinder. The most dangerous planet in the galaxy. It had tried to kill him. It had failed. And now it was home.